Alright, so I am back with another video. This is going to be a series of videos done back to back, trying to cover everything that you could possibly need to know, at least for now, in regards to working with the system. So I'm just going to go ahead with the setup. Inside of here, for the repo guys, you would just open with GitHub Desktop. If you don't know how to clone, then you should. There's plenty of videos out there, guys, on how to clone projects. So I shouldn't have to do a video specifically on that, but I do have videos on that for this project that you can go and look at the older ones. They still apply to this. Also in the documentation, if you go to the website for the document, it actually has the cloning of the project outlined in here in pretty good detail. So anyway, I'm just going to open up a terminal inside of this folder, and I'm just going to paste this. I'm going to clone this from my staging branch. This is the version 1.35 that I'm about to release, but I have not released yet. Not officially, that's why I have it in the staging branch. But if you're on the repo, you may have already gotten a chance to look at it. Anyway, this is what you get inside of here, the ULO, the license, and the files in relation to my project. Now, this is the game animation sample project that I picked up from here. I'm going to copy this over into this folder. It's going to ask me if I want to overwrite some of the GASP dynamic additive overlay project files. Never do that. Don't overwrite anything in the project that you're trying to set up. So I'm going to say let me decide so that you can see what files it's asking you if you want to overwrite. These are the INI files. I included those because of really I only needed one of them, but I went ahead and included all of them. Mostly the gameplay tags is the reason why, but yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see that I am now also including the skeletons of the Echo, Twin Blast, UE4, the UE5 mannequin, and the UEFN and the metahuman. The reason why is because it'll reduce the amount of work y'all have to do in regards to setting this up for the repo version. So I'm just going to say skip these files. I do not want to replace my files, the dynamic additive overlay files, with the original game animation project files. If I do that, there will be no gameplay tags set up in the project, and there will be no sockets or virtual bones set up on the skeletons. So I'm going to say skip these files. And I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. The setup is pretty simple, but I just want to explain to you, don't overwrite anything when you're copying those files over. It will ask you if you want to overwrite, say skip these files. Do not overwrite them. Once you're in here, I'll go ahead and take you to the project settings and let you know what it is that I did change in the project settings, which was why I included the INIs. The gameplay tags, I just have 3 gameplay tag tables set up on here. These are for character tags right here. And what these are responsible for is whenever we're querying the items to fetch the character data, character specific data for those items, what it has to do those by character tag. Otherwise, it doesn't know what character you're playing as, and it doesn't know what settings need to be loaded. So these other tags are in relation to the animation system and the weapons themselves, and those are still important, guys. The state pistol M9 rifle, rifle M4A1, items, flashlight, those are still relevant. So you don't have to put them in a table like I did, but my system requires those because we have to be able to identify the items. Otherwise, we don't have any way of identifying them, and we don't know what items are being held. So yeah, so the slot system in here, it requires us to know what items are which, or else it doesn't know which items are allowed to be held in pistol holsters. You could, if we didn't know, then we might have a grenade in a pistol holder, or we might have a rifle in a pistol holster. That's why we need a way to identify, and I chose to use gameplay tags. So that's just personal preference. If you don't like that, feel free to change it. Anyway, outside of that, the only setup really is the game animation widget and the world settings over here. Both are pretty simple to do. Just go to your DAO folder, character data, char data, and we're going to replace this UEFN with mine. Or you can leave that one like it is. It's up to you. And then under characters, echo, I'm just going to replace echo. And you can also just press this browse button to get that open faster. But yeah, I'm just replacing their references with mine. And mine are all tagged with DAO because I want you to be able to distinguish them from the originals. The generic blueprint is also called DAO generic. So yeah, so right off the bat, you won't have the proper character because we have not changed out the default pawn class under the game mode settings. So I still need to go to the char data, select him and press that back button. You can hover over it and it should say DAO on the end. But we need to drop some items into the level. So I'm going to go under blueprints, held objects. And I'm just going to drop out this BP gun M9. And I'm going to hold down Alt to duplicate it. And under items, flashlight, BP items, flashlight. And now you'll see those slots spawn on the character. Right now they just spawn on them. I don't have those as pickups yet, but maybe in the next version I'll have those as items on the floor that you can pick up. Yeah, so I'm pressing Q and E to cycle through those guys. I probably should have mentioned that, but yeah. I can toggle with my with one of the buttons on the side of my mouse. I can toggle the aim, or you can just hold down the right mouse button. Yeah, so that's how you can aim. If you just fire, it'll automatically aim and then stop aiming. If you mantle, he'll automatically put his weapons away and then he'll pull them back out. So if I come over here and I pick up this rifle and I try to mantle, he'll drop the rifle, but he won't pull anything back out when he gets to the top. And that's because the last thing that he had in his hands was dropped. So if you want that to be to where he'll still pull out the previous things that he had in his hand before that, you can. It's not that difficult, but I chose not to just because So anyway, you can pull weapons out. You can press H to holster them, and you can press L to drop them, and you can press F to pick them up. You have to be close to them to pick them up. So if you try to pick something up and there's nowhere to holster it, he'll just automatically drop it. So you see he dropped that flashlight, and now I dropped that. So that's the basic rundown on the mechanics of that. C is crouch, you know, you should know that by now because that's a GASP thing. That's not something I set up. And then shift is to sprint. Yeah, so I tried to make this as dynamic as I could. I think that left arm looks a little weird. I might look into that and maybe tweak those settings just a little bit. But I'm not going to do that right now. So if you go over to the items, so this is just like a setup and intro to the systems. That's what this video is going to be. So if I come in here, you'll see this event graph right here on there. There's nothing in here. But if you look under the class defaults, I'm probably going to hide these guys so that y'all can't see them because it'll confuse you. I know. Just like this stuff here probably will confuse you. I don't think that's even being used anymore. I don't think that's even hooked up. But the action ID and the item info, these are the main things that you have to worry about is the item data, the fire action tag, the reload tag, and the muzzle socket name. So if you add an item, static mesh or skeletal mesh, you need to add a socket called muzzle on it, or you need to change the socket name for this weapon. It's up to you. But if I were you, I would just use this conventional muzzle name for all of them. You can ignore this. This is completely irrelevant. It's only used internally. So is this. This information is automatically fetched, and it's fetched from this get item char data function, which is actually a child. It's an inherited function that we're overriding inside of here. So the parent actually doesn't have anything set up for this function. It's meant to be overridden by the children. So you can, if you override, if you're setting up a new weapon, I would just suggest duplicating one of these so that you don't have to set up the chooser and stuff like this that I already have set up for you in here. But you're going to want to replace this chooser. So if we come over here, you'll see this has a chooser right here, and that's what we're assigning right here. And if you go inside of this chooser, you'll see it has this character tag, and that's what we're plugging in right here. So I'm getting the character tag from the character, and I'm passing it in here to this chooser. So let's see. If I go to the master, I believe that might be where I have it set up. I don't even remember where I set that up at. Let's see. Items data. Yeah, so that's going to be, that's actually an interface function. Okay. Yeah, so this is actually called on the character class when they need to fetch this item character data from this. And whenever you call that from the character passes in its character tag. So let me just go ahead and go over to the character and I'll show you. So it may be under item handling. Let's see. Get item char data. Yeah, so you'll see over here on this on rep, I'm using these macros. These are just setting the values of, they're just loading these variables with references to the hands or the items in the hands. And then right here, I'm passing in the character tag, and this should be set on every character. So you make a child class of this character, and then you're in your class defaults, under defaults right here, character specific, you'll see char tag. You're going to want to change this to your character tag. So you'll have to make a character tag for your character. You can go to manage gameplay tags from right here. And you can, let's say I wanted to add a character tag right under main, okay? So I can right click and I can add sub tag right here. And then I could say some char. And then I could say I want to add this directly to the default gameplay tags.ini. Now that's in the ini file. These other tags, though, are actually in a table. So, yeah. So now you have some char. So you could potentially change this over to some char. But watch what happens whenever I go to pick up these items. Your character has no data assigned for this item, or you have not set your character tag. Okay, so I'm printing those warnings to kind of help you guys out, to help you identify, hey, I missed something here. Oh, it's my character tag. That's not the right character tag. Or if it is the right character tag, then you need to go in here and you need to say, okay, is my character in here? No, it's not. It only has the DAO char tags main.uefn. So I need to add one over here for that character. Okay. And now I need to set up a primary data asset that stores that information for my character. So I go in that in depth in the documentation, but I'll do a video on that as well. I'm gonna do a video where we bring in a weapon into this project, actually. So I'm doing everything, this entire video series, I'm doing them back to back, and they're all going to be taking place in this one project. This is a fresh project. But yeah, so I'm just going to delete that. I don't need it. And I'm just going to go ahead and save all that. I probably screwed something up somewhere. I'm sure I'm over here messing with stuff. Looks like I changed that back though, so I think I should be good. I should be able to pick up the weapons now. Yeah. All right. So the slot system, the slot manager is right here. Now I did have the pickup manager stuff inside of this blueprint, and there were functions inside of here, but I was like, okay, well, you know what, some people are going to be like, I want to remove that, I don't want to use that. So I decided to place it in an actor component, but some of the functionality still has to take place right here on the character because it has to communicate with the slot manager, and I didn't want to tie those two together. I didn't want to do a cast to the slot manager or anything like that. I actually could have looked for, I might refactor that later, because I actually could search for the slot manager component on the owner. I could have gotten yeah, but I didn't actually want to tie these two together so that they required each other. Anyway, I don't know. I might refactor that later. But the point is that we have the slot manager here, and if you go over here, some of this stuff needs to be hidden. It needs to be set to private so it doesn't show up in here. I'll do that later. The only thing that you need to worry about is item slots. And this dictates the name of the socket that these slots are going to be attached to. So basically what I'm doing is I'm attaching slot actors to slots, to sockets on the character, and then I'm attaching the items to those slots. You see? So the preferred reaching hand lets us know which hand we prefer to reach for that slot with. So if it's on the left side, you're probably going to want the left hand to reach for it. But in some cases, you might actually want the right hand to reach for a slot on the left side. So this allows you to select which side you prefer. And you could probably even set it up to where you could use either hand. But this is just an enum, and I use this enum everywhere rather than making like 3 different enumerators that are all related to hands and specialized in different scenarios. I decided to just use the same one all across the board. Allowed slot class. This lets us know which slot actors are allowed to be attached to this slot. So maybe we don't want a rifle to be a rifle holster or an arrow quiver to be attached to the hip right here. Then maybe we only want the pistol, you see. But if you want multiple different ones, you would create a child of this, and you would still have this as the allowed slot class, because any child of the slot hip pistol is going to be a slot hip pistol class, which allows anything that you create that's a child of this to be attached to this slot. Okay, so that's the reason why I chose to do it that way. The slot actors themselves, they have an acceptable item tag, and this is a gameplay tag container, and this allows us to tell it which items are allowed to be attached to these slots. So I could say I want pistols and rifles to be holstered in this slot. I don't, but you could tell it that, and it would let a rifle be attached to it. So I don't have like real sophisticated logic behind these slots right now to determine or to handle multiple different like types of items being attached to them. But for the most part, if you have a pistol holster and you want to holster another item in it, then you might draw you might draw your M9 out, drop it, and then pick up the Desert Eagle and then holster it. You see what I'm saying? So it should work for most cases. For these, I'm actually just setting up, I'm calling the setup mesh function, and I'm just passing it a dummy actor mesh. I was trying to avoid creating item data assets for them, but you can do that as well. And if you do that, then it'll still work just like this, because these are the slot master is a child of the held objects master, and so are the guns. So the held object guns is a child of the held objects master as well. Okay, so that covers the slot manager stuff. Well, not completely. Let me go ahead and show you this. So if we come over here to the begin play, you'll see we have this slot manager stuff here. And I'm binding to some events. This allows the slot manager to have the character drop items or place items in their hand. Right here at the end, though, you'll see I'm just calling this macro I made. It's a setup slot actor, and I'm just spawning that class. And then I'm setting us as its owner. I'm disabling collision, and I'm assigning this to a slot. This actor I just spawned, I'm assigning it to the slot manager, which handles the rest for you. It'll attach it to the socket, and if there's something already there, it'll drop whatever is attached to that slot. It'll drop that slot actor on the ground. So yeah, that prevents you from attaching two pistol holsters to your right hip. I think that pretty much covers it for this initial introductory course. I'm not really going to go into this pickup manager stuff. I'm not going to go into all that deep logic. There's too much to cover, guys. I'm sorry, but I have left a lot of notes around. I've done a lot to try to clean things up. Some of the logic is going to be self-explanatory. This was just something I set up for me so I could pause things while testing. Yeah, so I did a lot of cleanup here. I hope that helps you guys become more familiar with the system and feel less overwhelmed by all the logic that I've had to add. But all right, so in the next video, I'm going to bring in a custom character, and then we're going to bring in, so I'm going to bring in a custom character. I'm going to show you how to set them up with this stuff in here, and then we're going to add a custom item to the game, a custom gun, and we might even set up a custom linked anim layer for it. So I'll see you in the next video.